What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning into this episode of Twin Finance. I am Jackson. Today I'm going to talk to you about supply and demand. Now, this is a common thing that you hear in the economy, supply and demand, yada yada. Most people don't understand actually how it works. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you real quick how that actually works in real life. So this is supply. So I'll graph supply. So right here, this is supply. Now, if we put price here, and then we'll put this is a quantity here. Now, it doesn't matter which product in the world, it doesn't matter how cheap the product is to make. Once you go beyond a certain extent of supply, it becomes more expensive to produce the same product. I know people think oh, what if it was a water company, after a certain extent, it always becomes more expensive. So a lot of supply curves, they can do a few things. They can be flat for a while and then they start to increase, or they can just be steadily increased, or maybe they're really flat for a long time and then they start to increase, right? Given on the product in the industry, they might be able to produce mass amounts without it getting much more expensive. But this is how the typical, the price to produce this product, as you get along with more quantity, it's always going to increase at some point. Let's get, for example, steel. Well, there's only so much rock in the world. Once you start mining all that iron and all that stuff to make steel, it becomes more expensive. You got to find new mining zones. You got to tear down more stuff. You got to, you know what I mean? There's just a ton of factors included there where over time and as you progress along that quantity level, it's going to become more expensive eventually. Unless obviously you find more efficient ways you can drop costs. But even with that new efficient way, it's still going to be more expensive as you start to produce such large amounts of product. So now that's basically supply. And then I'll run over demand real quick, and then I'll graph them together for you guys so you can see how they interact on a chart. So now this would be demand. So we'll graph demand. Okay. So most demand charts, depending on the product, so you got price here, and then this is demand. So this is obviously 0. And just say 1, 2, 3, we'll just say this is a product that people don't buy a lot of, right? So if the price is very high, it's typically this is what a typical demand chart looks like. You know what I mean? It could definitely obviously vary depending on the product, but let's say it was apples, right? Well, let's say apples were, say here, $5 a pound, right? Well, someone is probably only going to desire, very few apples. They're not going to want to go spend a ton of money on that apple. It doesn't bring them that much happiness, right? So at $5 a pound, say here's $1 a pound, right? So as you can see on this chart, the quantity demanded by the market at $5 per pound is only, $5 per pound is only 1 pound of apples. But then as you can see, as the price drops down to around $1 a pound, people are demanding 4, 5, 6 pounds of apples because they're so cheap. Why not buy it, right? So that's typically how supply and demand works. Obviously there's certain products in which I'll run over one real quick that is there's obviously special cases where these factors don't typically apply. Say it was medicine, right? So you got your demand, and here we're gonna do medicine, right? So say it was a a medicine that heals a sickness, right? Well, this is price, this is the demand for the price. Well, it doesn't really matter what price it is, right? The market, if it needs this much, it doesn't matter if the price is $200 or $1,000. If these people need that medicine to survive, it doesn't matter how high the price goes, typically the demand is going to be the same. So there is obviously these oddball scenarios where the demand curves don't typically apply. But the ones I just ran over in the beginning of the video, that's typically with most consumer products, that's how the demand charts are going to look. Whether there are more extreme variations of that or not, they're typically going to have those same type of patterns going on there. So when we graph it together, guys, you're going to say supply and demand, right? So you got your demand chart that looks like this, right? And then you have your supply chart. Say this person looks like this. Well, right here where they intersect, so this is D for demand, and then this is the supply, right? So this is the optimal point for a company. So like a company determines, you know, how much does the market demand, how much does it, like, when do we stop making profit on producing stuff, right? Like say we sell it for $5 a unit. Once it becomes $5 a unit to make it because we're making so much quantity, you know what I mean? Like that's the type of factors they bring into play here. And what a company's goal is to get this intersecting point where supply and demand cross. That's the optimal efficiency rating for a company. That means they're making maximum profit, which is the whole goal of an enterprise, right, guys? You don't go into business to say, just make a little bit of money, you know, whatever. Like you always want to make the most money. You want to be the most efficient, right? So this is how a company maximizes its profits, right? If they end up somewhere over here or over here, or you know what I mean, that means they're not at this point where they intersect. The point of intersection, that's of the supply and demand curve. That's the max profit right there. So if they're not on that, they're not maximizing their profits. So obviously the company's going to try and change that. So that's pretty much it for supply and demand, guys. It's just the general basics. If you want to learn more about it, definitely you could just research on the internet, buy an economics book, read about it. You know, information's readily available nowadays. So yeah, I hope you took some value from this video. I hope that, hey, maybe next time you're at the grocery store or somewhere, you know, you remember this video and you go, oh, I wonder how this product works and such. So I hope you took value from this video. Remember to subscribe, like the video if you liked it. Leave your opinion in the comment section below. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching and have a great day.